Nonviolent communication is a very important part of personal peace. The way we talk with one another and with others and with ourselves is very important. In nonviolent communication, we do not want to be like the animal jackal. The jackal is an animal that it goes down on all fours. So now I invite all of you to go on all fours, so just like we are doing. So when you are on all fours, all you can see is what's in front of you. You cannot see others. It gives and lends itself to thinking about me, me, me. So this is not what we want in nonviolent communication. We want to be, as we get up, like the giraffe. Okay? The giraffe has a tall neck, and its head can see wide vistas. It has a big heart that pumps blood and cares for others. So we are trying to be like the giraffe. So I invite you to stand up and look all around you and see what others are doing and how they are feeling. We want to be like the giraffe. If you have the opportunity, please go to the zoo and look at the giraffe. Nonviolent communication comes in various forms. Historically, language in the 50s and 60s were very racist. Our language involved saying racial slurs that we do not say anymore today. So we have shifted from language that is not kind to different ethnic groups. Then in the 60s and 70s and 80s, we had sexist language. So we went from racial slurs to now sexist language in which not everyone was included, particularly women. This kind of language favored the men. So we have words like his story, it's not her story. And then we have names of people, including my last name, which has the word son, Guanson, as opposed to Guan daughter or Guan child. And everything was a mailman, fisherman, all kinds of male gender oriented. So in nonviolent communication, it was able to shift that, shifting to be more inclusive. So a chairman is now becoming a chair. It's a mail carrier, and so on. So we have language that includes all people, and we continue to work on that. Third phase of nonviolent communication is the language in which we have violence. And this is the period we find ourselves today. Language that uses violent metaphors is no longer being acceptable. We are trying to shift that. Words such as bomb to describe something that is exciting. A bomb used to be something that exploded and hurt people. Or we use the word bullet when we are making a list. So we're providing alternatives like saying dot points, flower points, etc., but not bullets. Then we have one of the popular adjectives that can be heard on television all the time, killer. That is a killer car. She is wearing a killer dress. We know a killer refers to someone who actually kills someone. But today, our language refers to something as something positive. On the North Shore, we have killer tacos. We have killer shrimps, shrimp trucks that use those terms. So we are trying to shift that away so that we can use alternative language that is not so violent. Because the way we say the words shapes our thinking, which then shapes our actions. So we want to shape the words that come out of our mouth and the things that are in our heads to be nonviolent. Now, another phase of nonviolent language is the way we speak to one another. And that is nonviolent language in which we are trying to be like a giraffe. A giraffe who looks and thinks about other people as opposed to the jackal. The jackal is something or an animal that just thinks about his or herself. It's all about me. So we want to shift away from that. Another area of nonviolent communication is our body language. The way we use our bodies says a lot more than the words we say. So if we are conveying some kind of violence or anger or hostility that's inside of us, it comes out in the body language, the way we move. And so we want to be conscious of that. We also want to be aware in nonviolent communication that the clothing that we wear demonstrates what we are trying to communicate. So we have seen signs and t-shirts that symbolize guns and weapons and killing. So in nonviolent communication, we do not want to convey that type of message on our bodies in the clothing that we wear. We want to wear things that convey messages of love and kindness to others, about peace. So fortunately, peace clothing with peace symbols and things have been popular recently. Also, we encourage people have been wearing their indigenous clothing that is naturally to them, that they have worn for a long time, and that is finding itself to be very acceptable. So these are the many different ways that we can communicate with each other. And lastly, let us remember the tone and the facial expressions we have, that we want to be smiling and kind of being kind to one another as we speak. And I want to offer this phrase to you that we should all remember. What can I do to make your life more wonderful? So if you are in an argument with a friend or someone, ask them, how can I make your life more wonderful? And see the tension go down when they truly think, how is it that their life can be made more wonderful by your actions? So let's remember nonviolent language in trying to avoid violence in our language, violent words, remembering to use our body language in a certain way so that we convey the message that we want, and to think like a giraffe. Look at the world from a wider perspective. And then lastly, let's remember, how can we make your life more wonderful?